All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Angelina Johnson with Spiritual Connections LLC. I am your spiritual alignment coach. Ooh, here I am getting comfortable. All right. So I am here in my whole new house. I have been absent from YouTube for too long. I feel like it's always too long, but there is a good reason. I had to move from one town to another town and get myself set up. And as you can see, I haven't done anything really on YouTube yet because all my stuff is a little bit miscentered. So this is good because now I can see that my tapestry behind me is not where it should be. So today I want to talk to you guys all a little bit about the energy update of this week. I want to talk to you about the theme of the week and maybe just kind of get a chance to talk to you guys about some stuff going on, because if you're experiencing life right now, which you are somewhere on the spectrum of events, and we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Now, before we do, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you like and subscribe, hit that little bell so that you get notified every time I go live, post a new video, or, just general announcements. If you're not new to this channel, please make sure you like this video. Just like it. Tell me what you like about it if you'd like to in the comments. I do try to kind of get back to people. Send this video or any videos that I have to any of your friends, family, anybody that you think would find this type of content interesting or exciting or enlightening in any type of way. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about the energy of this week. Okay. So this week is a little bit weird. For any of you who might be experiencing some big emotions like anger, hostility. Hostility has been a really big one that I've seen and experienced myself this week. And we can get into some of those stories if anybody's interested, but meh. A lot of sort of resentment things kind of coming up to the surface, right? A lot of things that have been buried down for a long time coming to the surface, and we have to do something with it. Now, here's the problem. When we don't know what to do with the thing that's happening, with the thing that's coming up, a lot of times our response to that is to go into that sort of fight or flight space, right? And remember, there's fight, flight, freeze, and flirt. So there's 4 options of how our subconscious mind is going to deal with this stuff coming up. Now, a lot of what I've experienced with people is a lot of fight. So fight seems to be sort of the energy that I have come into contact with the most this week. It's not really important because it just is what it is. And so we're going to kind of take a different approach with that this week as we talk about the energy update, which is simply to look at things as information. We know what's going on. Things are coming to the surface. We're out of that Capricorn season where we had to deal with stuff. And now we're in Aquarius, which means everything is just information for us to figure out what it means. So we want to try to give the subconscious mind the opportunity and the chance to maneuver through this stuff, right? And I'm saying stuff because it is, right? It's early childhood trauma. It's, the guy who looked at you funny at the grocery store, or I guess in my case, I was the one who was looking at people funny in the grocery store and received the brunt of that anger. So there's lots of ways in which our subconscious mind is dealing with this. However, for the most part, when we're not in a space of awareness, we're dealing with it from a space of our trauma response. And again, that's that fight, flight, freeze, and flirt. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what is fight, flight, freeze, and flirt, because I feel like it's important. And most people kind of colloquially know about fight or flight, right? So fight meaning like we literally fight, either physically or verbally or mentally. We sort of go on the attack mode. Now, the other one is flight. We run away, right? This can look lots of ways, and I'll give you guys some examples about how our trauma responses kind of engage, right? We also have freeze, right? So this is like literally where you just stop. Your brain kind of goes into like complete panic. You can't talk, you can't move, you can't process the information. You just are stuck in this one spot. And then flirt. So flirt is where you typically try to kind of downplay, smile, kind of laugh, like, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. Like, come on, you're not that mad. I'm going to give you guys examples of all 4 of these trauma responses that I have experienced myself, because I'm going to tell you guys all right now. You, me, everybody experiences all of these 4 trauma responses in any given situation, right? Now, you might go to one more often than another, which is totally reasonable. But for the most part, we all sort of kind of ebb and flow in between these trauma responses. So I'm going to give you some examples of what I think is funny trauma responses, even though they're trauma responses. I have some humor with it. So let's talk about fight first. Say that 5 times fast. And if you did, tell me how you did in the comments. Okay. So, this last week I was at the grocery store. This happened to me twice this week, going to the grocery store. And I went into fight mode both times. So I'm at the grocery store. I'm reaching up to get a salad from the top shelf. And I'm a short person. So none of you guys know this. Well, maybe you do. But I'm a short person. So I reached up to grab the salad, and apparently I was in somebody's way. I'm going to talk about this in a second, but I was in somebody's way. So that person got very upset that I was in their way, and they started to scream at me. Okay, so in my trauma response, I fought back. I was like, what's your problem, right? What do you got going on? What is so important that you're going to like yell at a complete and total stranger? What's wrong with you, right? So immediately go into the sort of fight mode. Now, not literally fighting because I'm a small person. I don't fight, right? I actually prefer to like not fight. But I did go into sort of defensive, like, I'm going to win this, like, call the security guard, get them over here. I'm done with this, bring them over, right? So we had that experience. Now, I think it's funny now because I can see where I totally could have behaved differently, or that person could have behaved differently. But that's how I responded, right? Because I was activated, because I didn't have a chance to think through it logically, and I was simply in emotion, right? Simply in emotion of this person being in my space, complete and total stranger, yelling at me and calling me names in a public space. That was my trauma response. Okay. Now, it's really important what I just said there is that when we're in trauma response, there's no room for logic, right? When we're activated emotionally, activated sympathetic nervous system, right? We're activated in some way. Our brain isn't thinking through best case scenario situations, right? What if that guy punched me in the face? What if that guy pulled a gun? What if that guy stabbed me, right? There was no space for that in my brain in that moment, right? It was pure emotion, right? Now, I'm not justifying what I did. I don't think that's the best way to handle situations. In fact, my mantra and what I teach and what I hope to embody is undoing those negative energy projections. However, in that moment, that's not what I did. So, transparency, y'all, I am not perfect. Okay. So let's talk about the second one. Let's talk about flight, running away from a situation. So again, I'm telling you guys funny situations that I think are funny now. And like, yes, I know they weren't funny in the moment. And hopefully this isn't activating for you, or you can resonate with this in a humorous way. But let's talk about flight for a second, running away from a problem. So I'm a part of this hypnotherapy group. And somehow, in some way, we have erupted. Not me. I don't want to be a part of it, but they have erupted into like mask, no mask type of thing, right? So we're sitting here arguing about whether or not people should be talking about masks anymore. I personally, whatever your opinion is on the subject, I truly believe that it's like a dead subject to me. Like I no longer want to beat this dead horse, right? I would like to be happy. Let's move away. So my response to this particular argument was to completely run away from it. I have no opinion. I don't want to take any side. Don't talk to me about it. Don't tell me your opinion. I don't care, right? I shut myself off and I run away. I'm not a part of that conversation. That's my trauma response here, right? I don't have the emotional capacity in this particular scenario to have a logical conversation because it's already to an emotional space where neither side is going to see the logic, and I'm not going to be able to convey logic because I'm experiencing so much energy projection that it shuts off that logical mind. So I ran away. I admit I ran away from that conversation. I don't want to have it, and I certainly don't want to have it here either, but that is what happened, right? So I ran away from that situation. Okay, let's talk about freeze. This is my favorite story because it really was an excellent example of a trauma response. Also, nobody was harmed in the making of this memory. So it really was just like a weird human moment where like everybody was trying to be their best selves and it totally did not work out. Okay, so I was invited to Ecstatic Dance, which is a type of event here in Washington where they play sort of EDM music and you go and you dance, and it's the intention is to just kind of let loose and release energy and just be in a space where you let go and have fun. There's no drugs, there's no alcohol, there's not even food, which I think is kind of lame. But it's really just a time to kind of get together and release energy. So this one particular time, which is the only time I've ever gone, which actually this is a good example of flight and freeze, and I'll tell you why. So, we're sitting there afterwards and we're talking and we're kind of socializing with the people there, because when you're doing the dance part, you're not talking, you're just dancing for like 3.5 hours. And then afterwards, you kind of get a chance to meet people and talk and whatever. So we're talking, and this guy comes up behind me. I don't know who this guy is. Never met him. To this day, I don't even know this guy's name. But he came up behind me, started rubbing my back. I completely froze. Like, what do I do? Right? Who is this person? I looked at my friend and I'm just like in pure panic, just standing there like, And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Help." And she's like, "Hey, who are you? Why are you touching my friend?" Right? So I froze, right? In that scenario, was I in danger? We don't know, right? We didn't know this person. Now, it turned out I wasn't in danger, right? But my autonomic nervous system, my sympathetic nervous system said, this is a threat, this is a danger, don't move, right? This thing could bite you, this thing could attack you, don't move, right? So I just froze. And I've never been back to ecstatic dance because that particular thing was so like visceral. So like I haven't gone back. I probably would. If I went back with the same group of friends, I would probably go back. But that experience was like pretty activating for me, right? Because I didn't know who this person was. Now there's other funny situations of the freeze, but this is a good example of freeze. It's like literally I froze. I did not say, "Hey, get off me," pull away. I didn't run away. I didn't say anything. I just froze because that's what my autonomic nervous system said to do in that moment. Okay. I'm going to give you guys an example of flirt. So flirt is kind of the most precarious trauma response. It's really hard to see. It's also very hard to empathize and sympathize with because most people see it as very manipulative. And all trauma responses are manipulative because they're emotional and they're not logical, right? So the flirt response, or fawn response as it's actually called in the psychological journals, whatever, is essentially where you are using your charm to diffuse a situation, right? So I'll give you this is not a real example. This is like a warped example of like several different situations put into one, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So let's say at the grocery store example where the guy was so upset that I got in his way. Okay, so I even said excuse me to the lady and apologized for being in the way. And the lady just kind of was like, "Oh, whatever my husband said. Yeah, you didn't say excuse me. Yeah, you did. You just jumped in front of our way. Yes, right." The yes is the flirt, right? Is whatever he said, I'm just going to diffuse him so he doesn't get more angry. Right? So that's an example, right? Now this could be much bigger where we could be like, "Oh, sweetie, you're so smart," right? No smart man like you would ever get so upset, right? So that would be kind of an example of flirt, an exaggerated response, right? But the way that she was just, "Yes, yes, whatever you say, dear, you're right, dear," right? That is the flirt. That is diffusing a traumatic situation, right? Now, even though she knew I said excuse me, and even though she knew I said I was sorry for being in the way, she still had to side with her husband because that's who she's going home with. And the logic of what actually happened didn't matter. It was the emotional experience that was the most salient or observable in that moment. Okay. So that's flight, fight, freeze, and flirt, which if you are interested, say that 5 times fast. Let me know how you did in the comments because I like tongue twisters. Okay. So why does this matter? Why am I talking about this? Okay, so here's why this matters. This week, we are experiencing and operating within each other's trauma responses, right? Now, here's what I will say is the most repeated phrase that I've heard this week is "in the way." You're in the way, she's in the way, that's in the way. Let me tell you guys something, and this is an opinion over here in Angelina land. People are not in your way. People do not get in your way. Your way does not exist. My way does not exist. That is an illusion that my ego self has created so that I can be safe, that I am right I am perfect, my way or the highway. The 50 feet in front of me and 50 feet behind me is my space, right? You are operating and getting into my space. Now, the truth of that is that doesn't really exist, right? Now, things can be in the way. This desk, for example, this is in my way, right? Literally, if I wanted to get up and move forward, I wouldn't be able to because there's a desk in my way, right? This desk cannot move itself. This desk has no emotion. This desk has no brain, right? It has no nervous system, endocrine system, nothing. It's just, some metal and some wood, right? Maybe some plastic. I don't know. So, but it is not a human being. Human beings do not get in our way. They exist in the same world and same energy as we all do. Right. So I just kind of want to throw that out there for everybody, even for myself, because I catch myself sometimes saying, like, yeah, just, oh, great. You just turned in my way. Now you're in my way. Great. Going 2 miles per hour. Right. And yes, this is mostly when we're driving. But the truth of the matter is that people are not in our way. Things get in our way, tangible objects get in our way, but human beings are more than that. And I think it's really important for us to shift this perspective away from people being in the way and shift into people being also just as important as we are. They're also doing stuff, and maybe they're not operating in awareness. That's reasonable, right? Because there's times when you don't operate in awareness and I don't operate in awareness because we're both human, right? But we need to give each other some grace and space and forgiveness and kindness and compassion, right? We need to do our best to pull each other out of that unawareness space in a way that is kind and compassionate and generous, understanding that this life that we operate in is hard. This is difficult. The daily drama is difficult. Driving and operating a motor vehicle in traffic is a difficult, emotionally and physically taxing experience. That's normal that we're all experiencing, right? So if I could urge anybody watching this video to do anything, it would be to be compassionate and kind. None of us know what each other is going through. I don't know the guy who yelled at me in the parking lot. I don't know what his day was like. I don't know the guy who yelled at me in the grocery store. I don't know what he was going through. I don't know if they were fighting or whatever. I mean, whatever, right? Their experience before they were in that moment, I have no idea what was going on. I just know that I received the brunt of that energy and didn't properly dispose of it, right? So here's the call to action for us all this week in this new energy update, which is we're all just throwing energy around, right? Throwing energy around in an ungrounded, unspecified, general, no intention type of way. So here's what I would give you, and I'm giving myself also, is how can I ground this energy? How can I send this energy into its proper space? Right? How can I treat people with kindness and compassion in the same way that I want to receive kindness and compassion? That's the first piece. Now, the second thing I want to talk to you guys all about is auras. Now, the reason I want to talk to you guys about auras, and I'm going to do this super generally, super quickly, there's so much information on auras, but I'm going to give you guys some general information. Okay, so what is auras? What is an aura? An aura is an energetic layer, right, of energy. Now, people, me, I have several layers of energetic protection. You have several layers of energetic protection. These energetic protections change in texture, in size, in shape, in color in any given moment, right? Currently, my auric field is very big. It's very strong. It's very powerful because here in this moment, I feel very strong, very powerful, very, in the know, right? This is my specialty. This is what I love to talk about. So my auric field is going to be very big and open, not open, but expansive, right? Because that's what I'm doing right now. Now, if I'm in a low vibe space, like when I was at the grocery store and I was mad and I was like ready to fight some random stranger, when I was in that space, how was my auric field? Was it big and strong and colorful and beautiful? No, it was probably brittle and small and thin and yucky and sporadic, right? It wasn't grounded into anything. It just existed there, right? So, how do we resolve this? How do we look at auras in a different way? And how can I teach you all about auras? Well, the first thing I want to tell you guys is I'm not perfect. I'm never going to tell you I'm perfect. I'm never going to intentionally put forth the energy that I somehow have everything figured out, because I don't, right? I can't even put together a gosh darn bookshelf, right? But I do understand energy, and I understand how I can repair energy when I'm in the right frame of mind, right? Being grounded, being present. So whenever you're asking people, because there's a lot of people right now asking about auras, about protection, about what is the color of my aura. So here's what I want to tell you. Our auras are connected to our vibrational space, right? The higher your vibration, the stronger and thicker and happier and beautiful and strong, etc., is your aura. Okay? So if you're feeling in a space where you really want to be communicating your truth and you really want to be telling people how empowered they are and how strong and beautiful, your auric field might be blue, or it might be yellow, because that resonates with your throat chakra and your solar plexus chakra, right? I want to be confident, so I'm exuding confidence. I want to speak my truth, so I'm blue, right? Maybe I want to be compassionate and I'm preaching to you, lecturing, right? Communicating, whatever, about forgiveness. Then my auric field might be green, and it might be many shades of green and many different like textures of green. Who knows, right? So I want us to be thinking about our auric field in connection to our energy, right? Because aura is okay. See if my internet will be happy. Maybe. Uh, Connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging in your router or moving closer. Ooh, okay. Interesting. So I might have to move my router closer. Okay, so I'll do that later. Hopefully this video is looking good, because I've talked a lot for 22 minutes. So hopefully this is like a good, not spotty. Okay, it looks like it's getting better. Okay, so our auric field is an extension of ourselves. It's an extension of our vibration. It's also an extension of the capacity that we hold, right? If I'm having a low day where I'm tired, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I'm not eating properly, I haven't drank enough water, maybe too much coffee, because that's definitely something I do from time to time. The lowest vibe days where I feel the worst and I'm at my worst is usually because I've had way too much coffee and I'm just like, "Wah." So, what's going on, right? What's going on with our energy? Whatever is going on with our energy is going to resonate in our auric fields. So let's say we're having a low day, we feel bad, we're sick, our stomach hurts, whatever. Our auric field is going to be wide open. Anything that can get in, right? Anything good, bad, in between can come into our energy field and, right, take our energy or give us too much energy, right? So let's say, for example, that guy at the grocery store. So he's yelling at me, right? My auric field is wide open because I'm having a low day and I'm already kind of grumpy, right? Because I've been moving and packing and trying to clean and, right, dealing with people and driving and all these things, right? So my auric field is open. This guy comes in, he throws energy at me. Because I'm already low, my energy field has already taken on too much. Well, now it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? So, not that this is an excuse, because I'm in no way excusing yelling at people in a grocery store. That is totally inappropriate for me and for this other dude. So let me caveat that. Um, but, and on the other side of that, right, is this is what we talk about when we say, as a healer and you're in a low energy space, you don't need to be going out and healing people. When you're in a low energy space, you don't need to be going out interacting with people, right? Because that auric field is wide open. Nobody knows what's going to happen, right? When we operate from a space of unintention or misintention, right, anything could happen. So it's important to set these intentions before we go out and interact with other people, before we heal another person, talk to another person, create a connection with another person. We want to be creating an intention, right? That's what intention is for. It's to make sure that when we're interacting with other people, that it's in ours and their highest good. And when we don't establish that intention, anything could happen, right? Now, let's talk about the next theme of this week, which is the anything could happen, right? Because this is a perfect segue. Anything could happen. Now, we don't want anything to happen. We want good things to happen. We want healing to happen. We want compassion to happen, connection to happen, right? So, creating this intention as we go forth in our day, what is it that we're intending? What reality are we creating in our minds, right? It's crazy to me. And I'm going to go into why this matters. I'm going to give you guys some examples because everything I tell you guys about, everything we discuss here, I'm experiencing too, right? Because remember, I'm not perfect. I'm a humaning just like all of you. And I'm running into the same things that all of you are running into. The only difference is thankfully, right, I have my guides who are assisting me and giving me opportunities to learn and allowing me to gain wisdom for me to hopefully pass on to all of you and to myself to implement in my day-to-day life, right? So this week, right, one of the things I've been manifesting for is sort of an uplift or an uptick in my music career, right? Because I sing, I love to sing. It's my favorite thing to get up on a stage and create an energetic vibrational frequency where people can feel connected and impressed and empowered to also get up on the stage, right? To also be creative in a way that's in alignment with them. So, this last week, I've been really struggling with being seen, right? Do people see me when I'm out on the stage? Do people see me as the true spiritual being, right? And most of this is ego, right? I want to be seen as this beautiful, all-powerful, wonderful, high vibrational angel, whatever, right? Which I think we all do, right? We all want to be seen in a high light, right? And to also remember that we're human being humans in a humaning experience with all kinds of human things, right? So I'm at this open mic night and I'm singing my heart out, and I'm looking out, and people are on their phones, and people are talking. Not everybody, but some people are talking, and some people are just not paying attention, and I'm just like, hey, you guys, I'm over here, right? And when we got off stage, some people were like, wow, beautiful, lovely, but that was kind of it. And I was like, well, that was kind of lackluster, right? I wanted people to swarm to me, right? And just bow down at my feet like the Leo rising that I am. And of course, that's not reasonable. That's not feasible, especially when we're in a low vibrational space, right? When we're operating in a space of lack or, not getting the things that we want, right? Here's all the things I didn't get this week. Well, guess what? You're going to not get more of that, right? And that's what I experienced. So I had to have this kind of heart to heart with myself today. And remember, right? Look, you're moving. That's emotional. It's emotional for me because I had this beautiful experience at the old house with healing and the YouTube channel and all these things. And now that moved to here, which is not bad but different. And so I had to leave some old energy behind and kind of allow that space to kind of have closure. Well, that's kind of emotionally taxing, right? I'm in a new town. There's a new culture here that I have to learn and understand, right? To be a single female going into a grocery store in the city that I currently live in is not socially acceptable. I didn't know that when I moved here. And I learned that this week, right? You must have somebody else go with you, either your husband or your friends or somebody, right? Your neighbor, go grocery shopping together. I didn't know that until this week, right? I learned. So it's all about sort of adapting into, what's happening here, right? Let's bring some logic back into this emotional mess, right? Let's bring something in here, which is there's something you're doing. And I'm pointing the finger at myself because this was me, right? Something I was doing, which was projecting energy on other people, projecting a perception on other people, right? And this perception that I'm projecting, is it true? Is it true that people don't see me? No, it's not true, right? Those people saw me. The people in the grocery store, they saw me, right? The people who were watching my open mic night, they saw me and they heard me, right? They didn't hate me, right? They didn't get up and leave or throw rotten tomatoes at me. They're just people being peoples in a people environment, right? This is a new day and age, right? Where things are different, right? So, what can I do differently? How can I shift my energy? Because the only person whose energy I'm in control of is my own, right? So, how can I shift this? Well, the first thing I had to do this week, and granted, I just did this yesterday. So, I'm telling you guys about something. This is new. This is new to me and new to you. And it's probably not new. I've probably been doing this, but I'm coming out of a space of awareness into a space of intention. And that intention is, what if they're not thinking bad things? What if they're not just ignoring me? What if they're texting their friend to tell them about this wonderful, beautiful, amazing person who's singing on the stage, right? Who knows, right? So I have a choice. And the choice is I can assume the worst in people and in myself, or I can assume the best in people and myself, right? And see what happens. And I love this phrase, right? I say this phrase every single day, really. Every single day when I talk to other people, I say, let's see what happens. Let's see what evidence we can gather. Let's see what's going to happen if we just shift out of everybody sucks and everybody hates me and everybody hates each other and into, well, what if people didn't hate each other? What if people were nice? So I told you guys about some bad experience this week. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to shift this into, once the shift happened, right? Once I shifted into, well, what if people weren't just evil, maniacal, terrible people? I'm going to tell you some stories. Once I shifted this perspective, I was walking the dogs and I'm walking, this guy is following behind me. And I'm like, oh man, please don't mess with me, right? Maybe there's another reason. I'm just gonna see what happens. I'm just gonna see what happens. So he drives around and he goes, hey, I'm not trying to be weird, not trying to freak you out. I just want to tell you that your dog is beautiful and gorgeous. And, I just want to know what kind of dog it is. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he's a healer, right? Healer pit mix. Okay, cool. End of interaction, right? Nothing bad happened. The guy was perfectly kind. He understood that I felt uncomfortable because it was sort of an uncomfortable situation, but we were able to have a pleasant experience. Now, what would have happened if I was like, this guy's following me and being creepy and I just glare at him? He probably would have not asked me. He probably would have been too scared to say anything, right? And we wouldn't have had a good interaction. We would have only had this weird, uncomfortable thing, right? I appreciated that experience because it was important for my subconscious mind to know not everything is bad around here. Now, here's another example. We just moved in this house. The person who lived here before, unfortunately, passed away, ripe old age, right? Not like, anything tragic, but anyway. So, she was an older woman, and so she had her mailbox, asked the mail guy to put the mailbox on the front of the house because she wasn't able to walk over to the mailbox. So our mailbox is pretty messed up, right? It looks like somebody's taken a baseball bat to it a few times, and it doesn't have the little flag on it anymore. So we put our little paper in the mailbox saying, hey, we've moved in, right? But the mailman didn't know because we don't have the little flaggy thing. So I was walking the dogs, and this guy walks by. He says, hello, good afternoon. And I'm like, hi, right? Because I'm grumpy, right? Hi. And I'm like, wait, what if he's not being weird? What if he's just being nice? So I turned around and I said, good afternoon. How are you? How you doing? Turns out he's the mailman, the person I need to really talk to, right? So I'm talking to the mailman, and, he's a perfectly kind, generous, gentleman. I don't know. Very nice guy. So talked to him about the mail, talked to him about, our plan for the house and things like that. And turns out he knew the lady who lived there for, forever, because she's lived here since 1959, since the house was built. And so he knew her and was good friends with her and, told us some wonderful, great things about the house that kind of brought us closer together with our house. And it was a really pleasant experience, right? We can have these pleasant experiences. I wouldn't have had that pleasant experience if I was just like, hi. I wouldn't have been able to talk to the guy to let him know about the mailbox thing and how it's broken. And, he wouldn't have been able to tell me beautiful things about my home and the person who lived here before. So it was important for me to kind of open up and shift into this higher vibrational space and allow myself to be open to a new experience, a new person, right? So anyway, there's lots of really cool examples. What I would love to hear from you guys today, if you're interested, if you're open to the experience, tell me about some great things that happened to you this week. Tell me about some ways in which your first perspective of things being bad or wrong, how you were wrong about them and how they turned out, if they turned out differently than what you initially perceived. So, does that make sense? So, something you perceived as bad, but how once you opened yourself up to the experience, how it became something different, something good, something expansive, if that happened for you this week, or if that's ever happened for you, right? One of my favorite memories ever. I used to work in an outpatient day treatment school in Seattle, and there was a kid that I worked with, and this particular kiddo hated PE. Just very activating time and space in his day. Couldn't do it. And so this one day I'm like, well, what if you just pretended that you did like PE? What if you pretended it was going to be super fun? Just pretend, right? Just see what happens, right? See what happens in the experience. So we get to PE, and at first it's kind of hard, right? It's kind of difficult to shift into like, what if things are okay? What if it's not as bad as I think? It can be a little weird, right? A little shaky. But you know what? By the end of that class, which was 20 minutes long, right? By the end of the 20 minutes, laughing, having fun, enjoying the time, getting along with everybody, happy, right? Just that one little shift, right? Now, I want to keep in mind, this isn't inauthentic, right? This isn't being happy in a fake way. This is allowing yourself to be open to an experience, right? So, for example, right, like the kiddo, right, in PE, I'm not open to this being a fun experience initially, right? I'm open to this being terrible, daunting, painful. I can't breathe. I can't move. I'm sore, right? People are mean to me. People aren't cooperating with me. That was the initial thought. Now, we shifted this into, well, what if they're not? What if that won't happen? What if you breathe just fine? What if you have a great time? What if everybody enjoys playing with you? Right? What if? What if that's true? You'll never know if you stay over here, right? And turned out, right, the initial assumptions were incorrect. Just like my initial assumption of the male guy, which keep in mind, this is right after I got screamed at the grocery store. So I was kind of like, everybody in this city is mean, right? Well, what if not everybody is mean, right? And I had a beautiful, wonderful experience. So this week, allow yourself to be open. Check in with your energy. If you're feeling low vibrational, you need to know something. I'm going to tell you guys this. That's okay. You're safe to be in a low vibrational space. Sometimes, every once in a while, from time to time, right? To sustain high vibrational spaces all the time, that's not reasonable. That's not reasonable for anybody, right? Unless you're like a cloistered nun or a secluded Buddhist monk or something, right? If you're interacting with people who are not healed, not healing, have no interest in healing, who are not in a space of awareness, it's going to happen. It's going to happen from time to time. So it's okay, right? Give yourself some grace, give yourself some space. A wonderful friend of mine told me this week, because I came to her and I was like, right? That's what she told me. Hey, it's okay. Cry, be mad, scream, throw some things, break some things. It's okay. That's not you all the time. That's not every time I see you. That's not everything that you are, everything that you embody. You're just a human, being human in this human thing that we're all humaning together, right? And I was like, oh, I didn't really want to scream, cry, and break things after that. I wanted to scream, cry, and break things before that because I felt like it was unfair or unjustified that I felt the way that I did. Because I'm supposed to be high vibrational. I'm supposed to be a healer all the time. And I'm supposed to do, right? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a reason I'm saying the things I'm saying, right? I was stuck, and we all get stuck in the supposed tos. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to feel this. I'm supposed to say this, right? That's not reasonable, right? Remember, that's emotional, right? The supposed tos are emotional statements, right? And what is the emotion? Failure, despair, shame, right? Low vibrational space. But when we open up to the logic side, which is, hey, you're a human. You humaned today, right? You interacted with other humans who are also humaning. And that's okay, right? Tomorrow is a new day. Actually, this next minute is a new minute, right? So now we're at, let's see, 40 minutes and 6 seconds. In 40 minutes and, well, rather in 50 seconds, right? We'll have a whole new opportunity to experience life, a whole new opportunity to perceive things differently, right? Are you going to give yourself the opportunity in the next 30-ish seconds to start new in 30 seconds, right? Okay, maybe right now I am so mad. I am so enraged. That person was so rude. That person was in my way. That person was this. Well, in 20 seconds, that's going to be back there, right? I found myself so often this last week being caught up in the anger of what I experienced days ago, right? So I'm all activated trying to go to sleep about this thing that I was mad about days ago. Well, look, the minute is gone. Now I have an opportunity, right? I can allow myself to be something different now. Happy, joyful, grateful, present, talking to you all, spending the next, however long here talking with all of you, which is what I would rather do, right? I would rather be here talking to you all or talking to myself or whatever, right? Whatever this video ends up being, I would rather do that than be angry, right? I would rather do that than assume the worst in people. That's where I'm at. And I hope that maybe this brought you some of that as well. So I'm going to share with you guys another thing that this friend told me. And she's amazing, right? It was what I always tell people, right? When we're in operation of flow, right? And we just go where the wind takes us, right? Without kind of questioning things. That's when we find the most important stuff, right? The most important feedback, what we really need in order to be different, right? To be our best and highest self. Before that, I'm going to take a drink of water. Sorry. Hold on. Pause. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys this thing that my friend told me. She said, when we have these sort of weird, harmful, negative interactions with people, whether we initiate it or another person initiates it, whether I perpetuate it or they perpetuate it, regardless, right? We as spiritual people, you who are watching, right? We have hope for better things, hope for a brighter future, hope for connection, hope for grace, hope for forgiveness, right? We have this hope, right? And when we have these negative interactions, what we're experiencing in anger is the possibility that our hope is wrong, right? That's why I truly resonate with that, because I felt like it wasn't because this guy was threatening me and being mean to me. It was because I know that something better is out there. A different way of interacting with other people is out there, right? I believe that to be true. But because I had this negative interaction, my whole reality came into question, right? Where I had to say, well, wait a second, is hope really there? Can people really get along? Are people really safe and good? Right? I had to have that moment. Now, my friend told me, which I really appreciated, was, okay, well, you had that moment. What evidence was out there? What did I collect? Well, not everybody is like that. I experienced that at a store with a person, right? And every single person after that particular interaction I had was nice to me and kind to me and helped me, right? So one person was mean and 5 people were nice. And instead of thinking about the 5 people were nice, I'm thinking about the one person who was mean and losing hope, right? Well, that doesn't make logic sense. I got to bring that back, right? I got to rewind a little bit and say, okay, well, maybe these 5 people who were nice to me are the hope that I can hold on to, right? And know that everything's going to be okay. Instead of the one person who was mean to me, who was probably just having a bad day, right? Or a bad week, right? The security guy at the store said, well, hey, just remember, we're like a week before payday for most people. So it gets pretty tight. I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, I could see that, right? okay, I can adjust, right? I can adjust. I can see some logic here, right? It was very helpful experience. So here's what I would ask you guys to do this week. If you're finding yourself losing hope, right? It's time for us to transition a little bit, right? So this one interaction made me feel like hope was lost, right? But what in this situation showed me that hope still exists, right? And that hope was stronger, right? The people who took care of that situation for me, they renewed hope, right? That was more of an interaction than the bad one, right? The security guy sat with me for like 20 minutes, right? And just talked to me, introduced himself, right? Asked me what I like to buy at the store, right? Whatever. So it's cool. Okay, now the other thing I want to share with you all is this really cool quote. I'm currently taking a hypnotherapy course. I mean, honestly, just some amazing instructors and amazing people that I've met along the way, learning immensely, right? I believe that we should all be continuing our education in some way or another in order to be our best selves, right? We should always be continuing to expand. And so here's the quote. It is, confusion is losing the pattern that links information together, right? This week, right? It's been tough. I felt confused, right? In a lot of ways, a lot of interactions with people, feeling very like discombobulated and ungrounded and just out of the mix, right? Why? Well, because some of the information that I was gathering didn't link the patterns together, right? So I had to come back to that drawing board and say, okay, well, what's missing here? Well, I know what was missing, right? It was those positive interactions, the hope, the justification that everything's going to be okay, right? All of those things. And so having to, instead of looking at the pieces of the pattern, right? Like the one person who was mean, okay, that's not the real pattern, right? The real connection to the pattern was the 5 people who were nice. Okay, so I can plug that information back into the pattern. Now I'm not confused. I'm not confused about whether people are good or bad or mean or evil or whatever, right? I know that people are doing the best that they can, just like I'm doing the best that I can. And sometimes my best and their best and your best is not very good, right? That's part of it. That's part of being human, right? Is that sometimes our best is kind of stinky, right? And sometimes our best is magical and beautiful and expansive and right on point, right? And it's okay either way. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen, but there's a lesson for us to gain wisdom from. So remember, knowledge is the information, right? So everything I've given you so far is information, right? Now, how do we take it into wisdom? Wisdom is the action of the highest good based on the knowledge that we've been given, right? So the knowledge that we've been given is the pattern is messed up right now. There's some ungroundedness. There's some weird energy projection of energy just kind of going in every direction and sticking where it sticks. And we got to figure out what to do with it, right? And we don't know how that works in alignment with who we are as individual people, right? If I'm a high vibrational people and I'm getting all this low vibrational energy being thrown at me, what am I supposed to do with it, right? How do I resolve these conflicts, right? How do I keep my vibration high when all the vibrations are low and right, blah, 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 blah. What do we do? Well, we have to stop. No matter what you're doing, whether you're super high vibrational or super low vibrational or going in every direction or whatever, we have to take a moment to stop, because that emotional space of being productive, of resolving things, of making things happen, of right, whatever that forward momentum is, we have to take a moment and stop and reassess and figure out what we're doing and figure out where the energy is coming from. Figure out if it's ours or if it's somebody else's, right? If it's something that I've been mad about since I was 16 years old, or if it's something that I've been mad about since yesterday, right? We got to figure out where we are, where we're operating within time. You're operating in the past, the present, or the future, right? To bring ourselves back to that grounded space. Okay, so I hope this has been really helpful for you all. We talked a lot today about energy projections, the energy updates, which is that we're out of Capricorn season and we're into Aquarius season. And in fact, we might be in Pisces season. Are we in Pisces? No, we're not in Pisces. Are we? We might be in Pisces. Wow, I don't know where we are. But regardless, right? We went from Earth to air. Now we're in water, right? If we're in Pisces. So wherever we are, we're in a weird flow, right? Remember, everything in our universe operates in patterns, right? Even us, our behavior, how we experience the world is in pattern, right? So if we take a moment to stop and observe the pattern and decide with intention, right? Because we talked about intention, to decide with intention how we're going to operate within that pattern. Now, I want to talk a little bit about boundaries because that's coming up a lot this week. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to this week who have said, hey, we need boundaries. But I don't want to establish a boundary because it feels mean, right? It feels like it's hurting other people, right? Here's what I want to say about boundaries. If you are in need of a boundary, right, the best thing to do is establish that boundary in whatever way that looks like, right? Even if the boundary is super aggressive, establish that boundary, right? You will learn so much about another person when you establish a boundary with them, right? If I establish a boundary with you and you argue back with me and you tell me how it's dumb, well, we probably won't be friends, right? I'm learning about you that you're not going to respect my boundaries. I'm glad to know that now, right? If I establish a boundary with you and you respect it and you're kind and you're compassionate and you're humble about it, or even if you do that with me, right? And I'm kind about it, then I know we're going to be friends because you respect it, right? I know the type of interaction, the type of relationship that we'll have and that will grow, right? So I truly recommend to anybody, if you find the need to establish a boundary, establish it. Learn information about the people that you're interacting with. Not everybody is going to be in your same space. They're not going to be in your same vibrational space, right? They're not going to always resonate with you. They might think you're ridiculous. They might, right, not want anything to do with you. That's okay. That's information, right, for you to know what to do with. So we take that emotional space, which is fear, right? I'm afraid to establish a boundary. We transfer that into logic, which is, well, if they don't respect your boundary, they're probably not going to be good friends with you anyway, right? And you deserve better than that, right? You deserve to have people respect you and respect your boundaries in a way that's in alignment with the highest good, right? So we have to be able to establish these things to figure out who is who, right? Who's fitting where, right? Do people belong with you or not, right? I'm not for everybody. You wouldn't believe how many people I interact with in a week who are like, that chick is crazy, or that chick is mean, or that chick is aggressive, right? Whatever. That's okay. I'm not for them. They might not be for me, right? We might not be in the same space. We might not be the type of people to help each other to grow. And I engage and operate and communicate with people all day, every day, also on the other side of the spectrum, who think that I'm awesome and interesting and great to interact with and healing and compassionate, right? And people in between who are indifferent, right? And all those things are okay, right? For you to know that you are loved authentically and compassionately by people who deserve to be loved in return, right? To know that you don't just deserve people to be mean to you all the time, right? Or not respect you. To know that there is a balance there where when we open up and we allow time and space to allow for new people to come in the door, but we have to get rid of those other people first, right? Because if you have a high vibrational person coming your way, but only low vibrational people are around you, that high vibrational person is going to be like, whoa, I don't think I'm ready for that, right? I don't think I like that. So we have to make some time and some space for the changes that we want to make with intention of the highest good and the highest order. Okay, so there's that. Now, the other thing we talked a little bit about is auras, right? So remember, your aura is an extension of your own power and your own energy, right? If you are in your power and you are in your ability to love and forgive and be in grace, your auric field is going to be huge and powerful and strong. But, you know, if you're not operating in your power and you're not establishing those boundaries and you're letting negativity rule your life, which is normal, right? Well, then your auric field might not be very strong, might be kind of weak. And that might be why a lot of weird things are going on, right? So it's time to ground yourself. Remember, grounding means I know what energy is mine. I know my intention. I know what I have going on. I know who I am. I know my mission statement, right? I know what that is. And I know what it's not, right? I'm in this present moment, which means I'm not worried about the past. I'm not fixated on the future. I'm just here, right? I'm here with you all currently right now, right? In this moment. And the other is being connected with the earth, right? So what does that mean, connected with the earth? It means that I'm not holding on to this energy. I allow for the earth to take it for me, right? A lot of times you might hear like let go and let God, right? Same principle, right? Let go of it. Allow for God, the universe, the earth, whatever term you want to use, allow for that higher power to take that trouble for you, because you don't deserve to hold it. You deserve to have a good life. Okay. Okay, that's what I have for you guys today. I love you guys all very much. Truly, authentically, I'm so happy to be here with you all. I'm happy to show you my new house so you guys can see that I do still exist. And I'm sorry that I have been gone. And I had to take care of this, right? Thankfully, it's done. I turned in my keys yesterday. So I get to just be present and engage with you all. And I'm so excited and happy to be here with you guys whenever I have the chance and whenever you're all here. Remember that if you're new to my channel, like and subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notified every time I go live. Share this video with anybody that you think would find it interesting. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, feedback, resonance, non-resonance, whatever you feel in the comments, as long as it's with kindness and compassion. Yeah, that's what I have. I hope to see you guys all next time. I'm Angelina, your spiritual alignment coach, and I hope that you have a blessed, healing, and grounded day. See you guys next time. I can't even talk anymore, so I guess it's good I'm leaving. Bye.